welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, so you've sent over this fascinating batch of documents looking at Nathan Hester, the Taylorsville town manager.
Yeah, focusing on his first, 8 months or so, September 24th through April 25.
Exactly. We've got town records, local news clips, and the core question you posed is about his standing. Is his job stable? Any signs of change coming?
Right. It's always interesting to see how a new leader starts off, especially using just the public record and reporting from that initial period.
Definitely. So let's set the stage a bit. Nathan Hester, he came in with quite a varied background, didn't he?
He did. Experience in municipal development from Bessemer City, which is relevant. Also law enforcement, times as sheriff's deputy, and military service, NC National Guard.
And degrees from App State. He was, what, 37 around the time he started?
Correct. And it's important to remember Taylorsville's set up council manager government.
Meaning the town council hires the manager, who then runs the day-to-day stuff. Hester took over from Aaron Wyke late August 2024.
Got it. So where should we start? The meeting minutes seem like the logical place.
Agreed. Let's dive into those council minutes, September 24 to March 25. Right away in September, it looks like he's tackling some very tangible issues.
Yeah, like a caved-in culvert, sidewalk repairs needed, basic infrastructure stuff, but essential.
Shows he had to hit the ground running with, immediate maintenance needs.
But it didn't stay basic for long, did it?
Mm-hmm.
By October, things got, more complicated.
Definitely. The minutes show discussion about possibly dissolving the ABC merger with Catawba County. That sounds major.
It is. And then there was the whole urgent care building situation, lease problems, drainage issues, even talk of selling the building.
Wow, okay. And something about the town website, too. Some confusion there.
Yeah, a bit unclear what was going on with the website development.
Yeah.
So October was packed with pretty complex challenges for a new manager.
No kidding. He wasn't exactly easing into the job then.
Not at all. And moving into December, more standard admin, it seems. Reestablishing the local ABC board, appointing members.
Right, and dealing with a resignation on that board, too. Plus, Hurricane Helene aftermath meeting with FEMA in November.
So looking across those first few months,
Mhm.
you see routine stuff, complex negotiations, emergency response. He seems, actively engaged.
And the minutes from early 2025, Jan to March, they suggest that continued, right? Budget work, projects moving forward.
Exactly. The key theme, though, from all these minutes
What's that?
is consistently reporting to the council, seeking their guidance, and crucially, there's no documented criticism of him by the council in any of these records.
That's a really important point. Okay, so that's the official record. What about the public perception, the news coverage?
Well, initially, pretty positive. His appointment got good coverage from local outlets like 850 WACB and WHKY. Mayor Hallman had supportive words.
Good start. But then,
Then that urgent care lease issue really became a focal point. WSSC-TV, the Taylorsville Times, they covered it quite a bit.
and Hester was front and center in that coverage.
Yeah, explaining the town's side, about expired incentives, why they couldn't continue the old terms. But you could also feel the public worry about losing the service.
Understandable. That's always a sensitive issue. What else popped up in the news?
The potential incorporation of Bethlehem. That was a big one.
All right. Go Foothills and the Taylorsville Times reported on Hester projecting a pretty significant revenue loss if that happened.
Between $170,000 and $200,000 annually in sales tax, yeah. He framed it as potentially needing a 6 to 8 cent property tax hike to compensate.
That certainly gets attention. Even though the incorporation didn't end up happening, it shows he was analyzing external threats.
It does. And there was also that joint interview, Hester, with the county manager and the school superintendent. Seemed collaborative.
What were his priorities there?
He talked about infrastructure, growth, the economy, safety, and stressed working together. It paints a picture of someone trying to build bridges.
And the Taylorsville Times seems like a consistent source for town news throughout this.
Definitely seems to be the paper of record there for town happenings.
So, pulling back a bit, how was the public reacting specifically to Hester during all this? Any direct feedback noted?
Based purely on these sources? Not really. The public concern seemed focused on the issues, the urgent care, the Bethlehem proposal, not aimed at the manager himself.
Okay. But we are missing, social media sentiment or anything like that from this data set.
Correct. We only have the meeting minutes and the news reports you provided.
Right. So let's assess his management of these key issues then. Infrastructure.
Clearly a priority from day one with the culvert repair. And addressing the urgent care building's drainage fits too. He stated strategic planning as a goal, but it's early days to see long-term impact.
Makes sense. And economically.
Well, the urgent care negotiation is a prime example, trying to balance keeping a service with being fiscally responsible for the town,
A tough balancing act.
for sure. And analyzing the Bethlehem impact shows that awareness of wider economic factors. Plus, he's involved with an ongoing economic development strategic plan.
And then the specific initiatives handling the ABC board setup and resignation, the FEMA coordination post-Helene, trying to sort out the website confusion. He seems busy.
He definitely seems hands-on across multiple fronts.
Okay, so let's try to synthesize this. What's the overall assessment of his standing after 8 months based on this evidence?
Well, you have positive signs, or at least neutral ones. The mayor's initial support, his collaborative posture in that interview, his active engagement in meetings.
And his actions generally seem to line up with the priorities he stated, like infrastructure and economy.
Right. On the other side, you have potential friction points, maybe.
Hmm.
The urgent care dispute certainly caused public concern. The website confusion might hint at, I don't know, process issues, perhaps.
But crucially, and this goes back to your original question,
There is absolutely no documented evidence, no meeting minutes, no council votes, no news reports or editorials we've seen here suggesting the council was unhappy or considering replacing him during this period.
and 8 months is still relatively early in a role like this.
Exactly. Tenure matters. There's usually a bit of a grace period.
So for our listener asking about the stability of his position, the key takeaway seems pretty clear.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Based purely on these sources covering September 24 to April 25, there's just no public indication that Nathan Hester's job as town manager was under threat. He appears active and engaged in managing town business.
Okay, so here's a final thought to leave everyone with. Given these challenges that are clearly ongoing infrastructure needs, economic development pressures, how might, future events or maybe external factors really shape Hester's role from here?
That's the real question, isn't it? And if you were on the council or just an interested citizen, what specific things, what performance indicators would you be watching most closely over the next year or two to judge his long-term effectiveness? Something to think about.
Indeed. Thanks for digging into this with us. Another insightful deep dive.